Good morning everyone, it's Monday. It's Monday again. I hope you've all had a good weekend. So today I'm posing another question, and I want to pose the question to you, what you think the word love means. As we know, it's Valentine's Day on Friday, and I've just went on to Amazon and seen that Ephemeral encounters has jumped quite high overnight, and all I can think of is that obviously it's the Valentines effect, because it is a book of love poetry. Please excuse my croaky voice. I've slept in a bit today, not even had tea yet or anything. So yeah, I can only think it must be the Valentine's effect, and that's why it's jumped so high overnight. I think love means different things to different people, and as we know, there's different types of love. There's the love that you give to a friend. Obviously there's the love that you have with your partner or your husband, and then there's the love that you possibly have if you have a pet. So there's all these different types of love. I personally, my personal perspective, again, this is just my personal perspective, I think now in this modern era that love is probably harder to find than it was going back to the days where my mother and father met. I would think it's probably, but as we know, the whole world has changed. There doesn't seem to be, not that because I don't, I'm completely out the loop. I don't date, I'm not on any sites, nothing. But previously, probably I would say going back a good long time, when I was probably seeking validation, going back to the last video, I found these sites to be just like meat markets, and the men were basically just, all they want is pictures. Pictures. They're, back in the day when my mother and father were alive and they met, my father was in the Merchant Navy, so he's met my mum on one of his trips. He's met her in South Africa, obviously, and he's fallen in love. And my mother was a beautiful looking woman, and my father was very handsome. So, but, I think now, because sex is so freely available and porn is so freely available, and you've got all these different sites like OnlyFans and I don't think anybody has really, but maybe I'm just getting old and cynical now. I don't know. Love to me is again, it's not tied to external things, and when you say you love somebody, you should never have to question if somebody loves you. Love to me is not dependent on whether I'm doing A, B or C. It's not. It's not a case of, oh well, if you do this for me, you know what I mean? Love is not like that. And love is nothing to do with how this, it's to do with, what's in here. The heart of a person, the soul of a person, and their nature, and their qualities. It's not to do with, but I know it differs. It differs from young to old. It varies greatly, doesn't it? When I was on holiday last year in Crete, there was this elderly couple there, and I always take a notepad and paper when I go away. I try to write, because if you don't write, you get a block. And I wrote 2 poems, one which was called Old Love and the other was called New Love. And it varies greatly, when you're young, it's all, and it's different, it's completely different. But there was this old couple, and they were a good age. He was driving, and they were both, I would say she was more infirm than he was. But I thought it was so lovely because he used to sit out on the patio and he would still call her darling. And you could see that the love that he had for her had sustained through the years. And he still loved the very bones of her, you know what I mean? And I just think in this modern era that love would be harder to sustain when there's so much temptation out there as far as, all these different sites and stuff like that. But again, as I say, it's just my personal perspective. I have not had much luck as far as that's concerned, and I've not really had much luck as that's concerned. But I did write a book of poems last year, and I'm going to read one of the poems from there. Michelle, who I always talk about, she is, I would say, the queen of love poetry, because she can write love poetry. I just find it very difficult because of my past experiences. Ephemeral Encounters, a lot of the poems were specifically to do with one person who I care a great deal about, who I've never met, and a lot of them were just, wishful thinking, because I've not, I did dedicate the book to the person, but it's complicated, and I don't discuss my personal life on here, although I do discuss obviously what happened when I was, but it isn't, it's if you want to buy it for Valentine's Day, I think it's had quite a few good reviews, about 4 or 5. I think also, as far as love goes, I think if there's distance involved, it's kind of impossible, really. it's not really possible. I think there probably has to be a great deal of trust involved. Yeah, there's just all different circumstances, but I am talking hypothetically again, and I am only talking from my own personal perspective. And I doubt now, at this age, whether it's going to come round for me. And it's, you know, it is what it is, you know. You just accept the cards that you're dealt, and you can never sit and wallow in self-pity with regards to anything. You've seen me cry and break down on here, although I've not done that for quite some time. And as far as my mood goes, it's been okay of late, and I hope it stays that way. But when you get to a certain age, you've been round the block a few times, you've heard all the lines, and you just, as I say, maybe that's just my personal perspective, I think if you find it, you're lucky enough to find it, hold it, treasure it, keep it safe, keep it close, and value it. Don't take it for granted, because I don't think the real thing comes around that often in this modern era. But as I keep saying, all these things that I speak about are just my personal perspective and my personal view. And we've all got our different perspective on things. My neighbour that lives below me, he's in his 80s, and I had only moved in here about 6 months or a year, and his wife passed away, and they had been married for 50 years. I'm not sure if that is a sustainable thing in this modern era now. But, I could be wrong, and I could be, as I say, just getting old and cynical. He still goes to the crematorium every Sunday and puts flowers down for her. And I know how much he misses her, although he puts on a front of, but it's a precious thing, I think, and it's not something that you should take for granted, ever. Just like, good people, don't take them for granted, because in this modern era, it's, old school and morals and values, and but again, at the risk of repeating myself, these are just my personal perspectives. So, one poem ahead of Valentine's Day, and of course, the Valentine's Day is a big commercial thing for the shops, obviously, but it's not revolving around one day, and you have to show somebody you love them every single day, and it doesn't have to be huge big gestures, you love somebody, you care about somebody, you show them every day, and the little things that you do, you don't, it doesn't have to be dependent on gold, or it never should be, gold or silver or any nonsense. It's actions, and actions will always speak louder than any words or presents or silly cards that you can buy in the shop. One poem and then I'm going to go, because again, 15 minutes. I don't know how I manage it, but I manage it. So, as I've said, I didn't divide this one into chapters. I just followed from A to, I think it ends in W. And this poem is called Longing, and there's 3 parts to this longing, but I'm only going to read one. Longing is a fire that burns. Once lit, the flames never die. Embers of long ago will glow and always remain, deeply ingrained. As you spend your days trying to ignore what you desire the most, longing will hover in the shadows like a ghost. It is a hunger that will never be suppressed, and that longing won't leave until you draw your last breath. So, I need to go and get some tea because my throat is quite dry. Have a good day, have a good week, and I probably will pop on or post a short or something before Friday. If you're thinking about buying the book, it is available on Amazon in Kindle or paperback. As always, take good care. Thanks for your comments, your views, your likes, your shares. I do appreciate every one of you. And if you're lucky enough to find it, love, value it and treasure it. Okay? Bye for now.